engineering at Altura Gaming. Abdullah Rangoonwala. Is it right like this? Come on stage.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. I want to talk to you guys about the state of Web3 gaming, and it's quite fitting since it's kind of the end of the year. So Web3 gaming is probably the most talked about subject in the whole of 2023. It's something that people are excited for, it's something that people are working on, and the majority of that is based on the hype that was generated throughout 2021 and 2022, and finally games have finished their development cycle and have started releasing these games. Let's break down what the market looks like right now. We have about 42% of games currently out or in production as indie games, 40% as mid-sized games, and the remaining and about 6% of them are AA or AAA, which is really good news, which it means that there's a lot of money going into this. In fact, there's $1.5 billion invested into Web3 gaming in 2023 alone. And we saw similar numbers in 2022, 2021, and a bit less in 2020. But where's all this money going? Where are we in the space? Have you guys played any Web3 games? Do people outside of Web3 even know what Web3 gaming is? Are investors just pouring money down the drain? Have they gone crazy? Because right now we haven't seen any games worth the amount that was mentioned, 1.5 billion. Yet somehow money keeps going in. A lot of the downfall of Web3 gaming and a lot of the bad press comes from the idea of play to earn. Play to earn was the foundations of Web3 gaming. The idea is you play a bunch of games and you earn a bunch of money and you're playing and earning. What's wrong with that? The issue with that is a lot of these games turned out to be pyramid schemes. You see, if you have Web3 games that earn money, over time, the people who started at it create these NFTs and then they sell them on and they sell them on for a lot of money. Then new players come in and flood the market with worthless NFTs and you're left with the few people at the top making money. And then this leads to a lot of players going back and looking at the games and being like, well, I'm not earning any money. The game I'm playing is not that much fun. So then what's the point of Web3 gaming? Web3 gaming sucks. And that's kind of the sentiment that we've been getting after Q2 2023. After all these games came out, people played them for a little bit, they made a tiny bit of money, and then because of market conditions and also because of the influx of gamers that went in, they all got bored of the games and now we're seeing a massive decline. But investor money still keeps going in. And if it's not play to earn, then why Web3? What is the value of Web3 gaming if we're not making any money playing the games? And if you ask a lot of people, they'll give you these off-the-cuff answers that don't really make that much sense. The most common one I hear is, there's this streamer who got banned recently, and he lost all his assets. But if it was a Web3 game, he wouldn't lose all his assets. And even yesterday, we heard about how Vitalik Buterin lost some of his assets in a game, and Web3 would solve this. Web3 doesn't solve this. If a game wanted to not ban you, they wouldn't ban you in the first place. And if they want to ban you, they can still ban you on Web3. They can go ahead and block you from the game server, and in most cases, they can even just change the metadata and make your asset completely worthless for anyone looking to buy it. The other one we hear really, really often is, if you look at Destiny and then Destiny 2, people grinded for hours and hours and hours, and none of the assets transferred over. And the same thing happens in Call of Duty games and all other games. And people say, well, if you had Web3 games, these assets would transfer over. Again, it just derives from the same faulty logic. It doesn't make sense. If a game wanted to transfer the assets over, they would. And even if it's Web3, if they don't want to transfer the assets over, it's a business decision. They don't have to. And the idea really stems from people believing that if you have a Web3 game, the game will itself be decentralized just because it uses digital assets. But that's not the case. The whole owning your assets doesn't really mean much because owning your assets doesn't benefit you in any way. So then the question comes again, why Web3? Why is money still going in? Surely venture capitalists aren't stupid. Surely they know what's going on. And I think the main idea that we need to focus on as we move forward in Web3, and the main idea that I'm talking to a lot of games, a lot of these AA studios that are now building this money with a lot of VC money, building these games, they're focusing on not just building a Web3 game, but building a game using Web3. See, Web3 is a really powerful development tool, and that's what it should be used for. It should be developer-focused, not player-focused. And let me get into that. If you have a Web2 game and you want to create in-game assets and you want to be able to make them tradable, kind of like skins, it's very, very difficult to do so in a free and open way. If you want to sell, say 10 assets, you have to either list them on an existing marketplace like the Steam store, which takes a 40% cut of all your sale revenue and also any royalties. Or you can launch your own marketplace and be at the whims of a payment processor, which might hold your balances for 90 days, or may seize your funds, or say that you're doing something suspicious. And in both cases, you also have to adhere to content policies directed by payment processors, the store itself. What Web3 does is it allows you to make free market economies and sell in-game assets really, really easily. You can go onto Reservoir's GitHub, download their open source marketplace, run it with a little bit of engineering experience, host it on a server, and suddenly you've got a marketplace where you control the fees, you control the royalties, and there's zero middlemen involved. The second something gets sold, the royalty goes straight into your pocket, and you don't have to worry about anything. No one can seize your funds, no one can touch your funds, and you've got the added benefit of all your users having the security of the blockchain. You don't have to worry about people hacking into your marketplace if you decide to create your own, or people modifying different things. Everything is secured by the power of blockchain. So that's really powerful. Developer tooling when it comes to making Web3 games is really powerful use case. The other powerful use case is DeFi gaming. And this is a little bit more player focused, and it's something that we're going to see a lot of as these AA and AAA games start coming to light. As these AA and AAA games start coming to light, we're going to see a lot of players amass large amounts of digital assets, such as, if you look at CSGO skins, some people have inventories upwards of 5, even 6 figures. The issue right now, though, is these assets are seen not that favorably by banks. If you have an emergency and you need to pay a certain bill, you can't go to the bank and say, here's my CSGO skin, give me 20 grand. They won't give you a loan. And the power of Web3 is you can. You can go onto a website, you can put in your digital asset into a smart contract, and based on automatic liquidations, you can get a loan. And you can get that loan, and you can even continue using the asset in some cases, and go and spend on whatever emergency you have, all while that asset is still appreciating in value in some cases. You can also go really degenerate and decide to put your assets up, get a loan on them while they're appreciating in value, and then stake the USDC, and you can go into all sorts of degenerate things that aren't available to you as in a regulated economy as the fiat world is. So that's really powerful. And so where are we now, and where are we going next? So I mentioned Web3 as a tool for developers, and I touched a little bit on using it for free market economies, but that's one of 100 different examples. Another one I really like, and is one that was mentioned here in the last speech by someone in the audience, is interoperability. I think that is going to be really, really powerful. Interoperability, not just between games, making collaborations where they share an in-game asset, using a permissionless, trustless blockchain where they don't have to rely on either party, but also for IP management. Imagine the NBA can release 100 players as NFTs. People can go in, license these NFTs on the NBA portal, and use them in-game directly without having to go through hours and hours and hours of legal work and paperwork and documentation. You just simply go onto the NBA website, get their players, and you can start creating games. And now you're not just limited to one massive NBA game. NBA could license their IP to over 100 smaller titles that all use the same NFTs in-game and are able to control everything. The other one we mentioned is DeFi gaming, and I think that's going to be really huge, as I mentioned before. But one key issue that we're struggling with is Web3 abstraction. And it's something that a lot of people are trying to solve, but it's not working. We see a lot of development go into the wallet area of Web3 abstraction, and I don't think we're just there yet. Custodial wallets don't work, and custodial wallets should not be your solution for Web3 abstraction. It doesn't make sense. Even the most trusted custodians have gone up in flames over the last couple of years, and the biggest one, FTX, was seen as the poster child for safe, regulated crypto custody, and that went up in flames. So custodial wallets are not your solution. But what are your solutions? There are social login options and wallet-as-a-service solutions, but they also aren't that great. Some of them you have to download a specific file, and if you reset your computer or you log in on a new computer, you have to get that file and then combine it with an email and recover your account, and that's a mess, and that's more complicated than just memorizing 12 words or writing them down. The other alternative that we're seeing are wallet as a service solutions that use social media, but the game manages part of the account. Now, this is a wonderful idea in practice, but when you look at the last bullet point on the screen, define gaming, you're closed off from that. You don't have wallets that are interoperable with any other decentralized applications or any other games, and you start restricting what the player can do, and the player can only really play your game. So in that case, what's the point of making a Web3 game? So that's it for my speech. Does anyone have any questions?
Very good.
Thank you.
Very good. Is it on? Yeah. For a 19 years old boy, wow. Okay, questions. Let's not waste any time. Time is money. Take advantage that he's here and he can drink more about his knowledge. Great, thank you.
Thank you for your representation. Just one quick question, probably with a longer answer, but what do you think is the best application for DeFi in gaming? Because we have seen that GameFi and play to earn, X to earn was kind of a botch. So what do you think will be the best opportunity for decentralized finance to enter into the game and the gamer's mindset?
Yeah, so I mentioned loans earlier, and I think that is one of the best applications of DeFi. And we don't see a lot of it right now because we don't have really good games that have valuable assets. But as we start getting these AA and AAA games to finish their development cycle and start releasing games that get some mass adoption, it starts making sense for people to be getting a loan out on these assets that aren't so volatile and are appreciating more than they're depreciating. So I think loans are your most powerful asset here. And I've also seen so many stories of people with CSGO skins that have gone up triple in value, but they had to sell them because they couldn't afford a certain bill in real life. And this kind of erodes that option from happening.